Any hiccups during acquisition? Anything that was going on, like as we're going through the process?
We probably need a podcast just to talk about the acquisition hiccups.
Yeah,
it was just so painful. I mean, we were trying to close towards the end of the year, and so we were feeling pressure because we wanted it closed. We wanted a rental or a booking by the end of the year. The people that were selling to us were living in Singapore. So they lived, 18 hours ahead of us. They were doing a 1031 exchange. So they had, different things that they were contending with. And it was just on again, off again, on again, off again, communication challenges. We ended up having to put a new roof on that we weren't expecting. So the closing process was really, really challenging. Once we got through closing, though, I mean, it was fine. We got a booking in there before the end of the year. We took about 4 months really to get rid of all of the furniture and paint and put everything brand new in and do new pictures. And all of that was pretty seamless. But yeah, there were days before we closed on it where we were like, are we going to get this house? Is this meant to be? We were kind of second guessing our decision during the process because it was just so hard to get to that point where it was finally ours.
So that was it. Were a lot of the delays because they weren't identifying something on their 1031? So do you feel like they were kicking the can down the road because they didn't want to close soon enough? And then you guys are on the opposite time frame saying, hey, listen, we need to get this done on, in service, get somebody in. Otherwise this screws our entire tax plan up for that year, right?
They didn't have, our opinion is they didn't have a ton of urgency to sell the house. They had bought this property probably like 15 years ago. It had appreciated just crazy amounts. I mean, so I think they were selling it out of convenience where we felt we were like, we need this, like, this is the house that we want, but we also need it in a very specific time frame. So just kind of two different agendas.
Yeah. They kept coming back with different close dates, and this didn't align with previous conversations that were had. And we filled out a contract during the inspection resolution phase, and we ended up getting back into contract at some point. That's a long story, as Shannon said, but there was a lot of ups and downs, and just if it was going to happen or not.
Was there any point during all that up and down that your earnest money was hard and you were at risk of losing anything, or was it because was there that stress as well in there?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We felt like we had the right to get our earnest money back, and they felt like they had the right to keep the earnest money. So there was some very contentious conversations that happened during that time frame.
Yeah, that's it sounds like testing the nerves a little bit.
It's got to be easier for the next one, right?
Yeah. I mean, so many people we talk to that invest in real estate, or the realtors are like, we've never seen this before. Yeah. Like this doesn't really ever happen, and so the sellers were a joy to work with.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've actually worked with some sellers that were in the middle of a 1031 exchange, and I've had them do that where they're kicking the can down the road because they're like they're not identifying anything, and they know that the minute they close, they have 45 days. And the last 10 years, we've had a really an inventory shortage, and so it's a possibility when you're dealing with a seller that is going to be like that, and they're maybe not fully upfront about what they're really trying to do, and they start stringing it along. It can be a real, in your guys' case, when you're staring down the end of the year, and we need to get this sucker on the market. That can be a big deal, right? And plus having earnest money and everything else. So I'm glad you navigated through it. I'm glad that it all worked out in the end.